Here's why I stopped grinding. So when you stumbled across your self-development journey, did it look a little bit like this? I should read every self-development book. I should have the ultimate morning routine. I should have the perfect workout. I should have the perfect diet. This is definitely the case for me, and it would satisfy me in the short term if I made action towards these humongous goals, trying to go from 0 to 100 at once. So if I took a cold shower, I'd feel good about myself for about 5 minutes and then go back to my miserable life. And here's the thing, whenever I would skip a workout, whenever I would skip a good meal, whenever I would eat a cheat meal, whenever I didn't read my book or I wasn't productive that way, guess what I did to myself? I would beat myself the fuck up over it. I would say I'm a lazy piece of shit, that I'm no good for nothing, that I'm worthless, and that I'm never going to achieve any of my goals. These were the thoughts going on inside my head. And that's when I realized I was using self-development as a plaster on the wound of me not feeling like I was enough. So instead of wanting to better myself for a noble goal, I was using self-development as an excuse to make myself feel worthy. Is this resonating with any of you? Like, I feel like we always start our journey and we're like, oh, I'm gonna be better. And then eventually you still don't feel like even you're enough, even though you might be unrecognizable a year ago to who you are today. And you should really be proud, but there's still like an overwhelming hole inside of us where we don't feel like we're enough. So the cycle would be like, if I did X habit, I felt good about myself. If I didn't, it would lead feelings of shame and guilt, and that would actually demotivate me into starting again, until eventually I would get a little hit of motivation and I would take action again. But the cycle repeated, and that meant two things. One, I never had consistency. And if you've read Atomic Habits, you know that tiny changes compound over time. So if you want to make remarkable changes in your life, you need to let time do its job and let the habits that you've built compound over time. So for example, if I work out for one day, I won't have a six-pack. If I work out for a week, I still won't have a six-pack. But if I work out for a year, I will notice visible changes in my body. So there was no consistency. Number two is I had a toxic relationship with self-development. Instead of wanting to better myself for the sake of bettering myself, for the sake of self-love, I would actually use it as a reason, as an excuse to make myself feel worthy. So what's the fix? Self-compassion. Make your reason for self-improvement one of self-love instead of so you can feel like you're enough. Instead of being healthy just because Andrew Huberman told you to, be healthy because you love your body. Instead of reading to become a millionaire like Alex Hormozi says, why don't you read to improve your mind? And whenever you skip a habit, notice how you're talking to yourself. Are you beating yourself up? If you don't be productive that day, are you making yourself feel shitty for the rest of the hours of the day? So let's say you did skip your habit. Let's say you didn't take your cold shower today. Why don't you actually try being compassionate instead? It's okay, tomorrow's a new day. I can respond how I act from this moment on. I don't have to react to my thoughts. I don't have to beat myself up. Instead, I can reassure myself and tell myself it'll be okay and I'll get back out there. And this isn't pseudoscience. I'm not pulling this information out of my ass. Studies show that individuals who are more compassionate are way more motivated to achieve their goals. So whenever I was compassionate to myself, instead of beating myself up, I had much more energy to try again. I was much more willing to try again. I was able to recognize that the past doesn't define me, a past mistake doesn't define me. I can choose to create my future, my reality from this moment on. And I took way more positive action. And guess what brought me? More positive result. And this gave me a healthy relationship with my goals instead of a toxic one. So remember, you are still worthy even if you didn't take a cold shower today, even if you did eat a cookie today. But it's still knowing that you are strong enough and compassionate enough to be willing to try again for you. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Peace.